Diastasis recti is when your abdominals are separated, the connective tissue between it is stretched out, and that can kind of allow for organs to almost kind of poke through. It can increase your risk for hernias, right? And when you're doing kind of a crunch, which we shouldn't be doing pregnant, postpartum, or really ever, little secret, you might notice the coning or doming right in the center, and that is a no bueno. It means that you should stop what you're doing, so make sure that you are taking it slow. And so today what I want to go through is the Diastasis Recti self-check. And so you're going to lay on your back, and remember, so if you're newly postpartum, you're going to be coming from the side. You always want to roll into it. You don't want to be lying or coming up straight, because that's going to affect the ab separation, right? Because you're putting too much pressure, right, too soon. So when you're here, you're going to have your feet flat, right, as if you're about to do a glute bridge. And then you don't want to focus too much on the tuck, but you do kind of want to have it tucked a little bit. And then what you're going to do is you're going to lift your head. You're not going to lift your shoulders. We're not doing a crunch. You're not like trying to engage your core really. You're just lifting your head right after you take a breath, okay? So feet are planted flat. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. And again, I'm not engaging, and I'm going to lift my head. And then when I lift my head, my fingers, 3 fingers pointing down. You're going to start your sternum, and you're going to just slowly tiptoe them down. And as you go down, you're going to feel, right? So ideally, it's maybe just your middle finger that's going on the ridge. Let your head rest if you need to. And then come back up. So again, you're breathing out, but you're not engaging, okay? So as you're going down here, so I'll talk about mine, like I noticed there's like a 1 finger gap. It's hard to do when you talk. A 1 finger gap here. And then as I go more towards my belly, it's a little wider maybe, but the tension between, right, or the connective tissue, right, that tissue that is in between those ridges, that is pretty tight, right? So as I go down, again, find that spot, come up, just lift your head, breathe out. Kind of just wiggle. And find how many fingers. And then not only how many fingers is the gap, so how many fingers does it fit, right? Going this way. And then also how tight is it, or how squishy is it, right? Your fingers are pointing down, 3 fingers. Middle finger is ideally, hopefully, just hugging that, right? If anything, maybe it's 2. If it's 3, maybe that's okay, especially if you've had multiple kids. So if you have separated abs, right? It doesn't mean that you don't have a strong core and that you're at a high risk for a hernia, right? You actually might be totally fine, but you just want to make sure that the connective tissue in between is actually tight and not squishy, right? Because when you have that, then that means that that is still weak and that you need to work on strengthening and taking your time so that you don't increase your risk for injury, and not just hernias, but back injuries. So many things can occur. So if you're noticing any of that, also make sure that you pay attention. Diastasis recti can definitely correlates with pelvic floor dysfunction for sure. So make sure that you take care of them both. And if you haven't done your connection breaths, that is the #1 exercise that you need to know throughout this whole course. If I could teach anyone, anything, any mom, one thing, it would be the connection breath. So make sure you check that video out to know how to connect both of those, and make sure that you are strong. The separation is okay. It's not ideal, but that's okay as long as you have tight connective tissue in between. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions about that, definitely make sure that you reach out to me now before you get started with everything. All right, I will see you in the next video.